Welcome back to Real Estate Real Home Stories. This is Sue Curlett. I'm going to be your host again today with John Smith. And we are super excited. Thank you so much for the people that are sharing this post or this podcast.
Thank you.
Super appreciate it. We are getting ready to get that directory uploaded. We're getting closer and closer to being able to do that and being able to share with you all of your contact information. So buyers, sellers, realtors, lenders, this is going to be your one-stop shop. You're going to be able to find all the questions that you need answered through professionals that have joined our podcast. John, how you doing?
I'm awesome. It's Friday.
How's your week?
It's Friday. My week was good. A lot of ABR training.
So, it is Friday. Today, John, we're going to talk about listings, getting your house ready, and some of the stories that we've run into.
Topic. Love this topic.
I know. This is going to be a fun one, right?
Yep.
God help us. So, John, we got a couple questions. What does the house have to look like when we come out for the first time?
Well, when we come out the first time,
just to take a look.
It looks like they're living in it. When I come out
right.
with a photographer, it needs to look like they just opened the door to a suite in a very nice hotel.
Exactly.
To be chosen.
Right.
No personal items. Everything needs to put away. The beauty in this market is I only need that for about a week.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, they can go back to throwing their clothes on the floor. I'm not really asking.
Right. We don't care what we see. We care what your buyers see.
Right.
So, you can have your house in its as is condition the minute I walk in there, and I'm going to give you some advice on what you need to do.
Absolutely.
We don't want to be hurtful. We don't want to make you think that we're attacking you personally. So a lot of times what I'll do, and you've probably heard me say this, is I have some tactics that I tell my clients before I even get into their house so they don't think I'm talking about them. But, the general statement that I make is if it doesn't have legs, it doesn't go on the floor. That's my number one rule. So before I come to your house or after I come to your house, I'm looking to see what's on the floor, because if your shoes are on the living room floor, that's not okay. If your shoes are on the floor in the closet, that's where they belong. That's fine. Right? Even under the bed, I don't care about that. But it's really important that people understand that when you have things on the floor that don't belong there, they stand out, right? The exception to that would be if you're boxing stuff up and you have boxes in one area of your basement. Okay, people know you're moving, so that's all right.
Secret?
No, not a secret. I never put them in one corner because then people are going to think you're hiding something. So
never against the wall.
Right.
Against the wall.
Yeah. So where people can see around it.
The problem with your stuff.
Yeah.
I realize everybody has stuff, but the problem with your stuff is they become eye attractors for the buyer. The buyer can't see your house because they see your stuff.
And not only that, the buyers are assuming, sadly, the world that we live in, buyers are assuming you're hiding things. So when you have one corner that's all packed up and they can't see, it's kind of like getting in the ocean. You just don't know what's near your feet, right? So just give them room to walk around. Let them see, oh, hey, that's a general rule that I follow with everybody. Before I get there, if it doesn't have legs, it doesn't go on the floor. Your tables have legs. Your chairs have legs. Everything that belongs on the floor has legs. If you have a closet, like the linen closet, right? How many people stuff their comforters in the bottom? So you see the bottom of the closet is all comforters. That's a big no to me. If you want to get a tote and put the comforters in a tote, the tote kind of has legs. If you pick it up and look at the bottom of it, it belongs on the ground, right? So that counts as an okay. You just want to look organized. You want to be as organized as you can.
You're moving. So whether you pack up the linen closet 3 weeks out rather than 1 week out, it doesn't matter.
Right. Keep the towels you need, the washcloths you need. You don't need your Christmas towels, right?
No.
Unless during Christmas.
No. That gets all packed away. I usually at the listing appointment will say to them, I need you to declutter your house. Now, a lot of people don't really know what that means. So I say, would you allow me to show you an example? Right. And typically we're sitting at their table, whether it be in the kitchen or a dining room table. um, somewhere where we can write and talk and things like that. And
Yeah.
I'll say to them, take, for example, this table, okay? The only thing that should be on this table is your placemats. I don't care if you have something in the center of the table,
Yeah.
but we don't have five things in the center of the table.
Yeah.
If you have like a salt and pepper shaker caddy, that's the only thing in the middle of the table.
Or a fruit bowl, like one thing.
Whatever, one thing.
One thing. Yeah.
Same thing on a hutch. You don't
And on
have
the
10 things
countertop.
on a hutch. And God bless people and their family pictures and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But the wall of family pictures and the 90 pictures shoved on top of a little hutch,
Yeah.
got to go bye-bye. And so one or two
Yeah.
explanations and they get it. I've never had anybody 100. Actually, I take that back. I had one lady in Sykesville. I went in for the listing appointment and I said to her, she was interviewing agents, and I said to her, wow, I said I should have brought the photographer because I can take pictures in your house right now.
Yeah.
And I've never been able to say that. That's the only house in 20 years I've ever walked in like, damn, I should have brought the photographer.
There are some people that are so clean and
Yep.
so precise, and they live that way.
Yep.
That's not me either. So I'm not judging. You know what I
No,
mean?
we're
If you
not
came in
judging.
my house, you'd be like, woman, you just came and told me to do this to my house, but I'm not selling it. So, you know, there's a big difference between how you live and how you prepare your house to go on the market.
Well, here's the thing to kind of summarize today's episode.
Yeah.
With listings, right? Location, condition, and price. And we can't move your location. So
Right.
the only thing we can do is improve the condition or lower the price.
And my thing is, you know, and I say it all the time, and you know, I know I've said it in previous podcasts, is presentation, presentation, presentation.
Yeah.
People cannot get past the paint color, the chipping
Clutter.
floor, the, you know, pictures on the walls. It's very important that you're not offensive to people when you're selling your house, you know, and a lot of people don't think things are offensive, but they are. And we're talking, yeah, it really, some things can be offensive. So if you have something that is sitting out that you kind of go, you know, is that going to hurt somebody's feelings? If you're asking yourself, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about it, put it away. That's just a simple rule, right? I mean,
you're moving. You're not practicing to see if you're moving. You're moving.
And we don't discriminate, period. So I'm not going to have a house that has something discriminatory that's being shown. One of the things that I run into probably the most is furniture. Big furniture. Like, I don't want the room to be packed with furniture. Yep. And some people have so much furniture, you can't get away from it. You can't walk around it. You know, I mean, do you run into that as well?
Yeah. You know, I have a story, since you just told a story about people
share
who
your
get
story.
offended.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
Quick. I got a call from a good friend of mine. I sold her house, moved them to Florida.
Yeah.
She called me and she said, my mom needs to move. She needs to come. She needs to buy a condo.
Right.
And she lived in Arbutus, and I'm not going to give any tip-offs beyond that. You know,
sure.
It's a great little street, right near the Beltway. Anyway, I went to the house, and I have never been a smoker, but she was a smoker. And when I got to the house, I knocked on the door. She opened the door, and as she opened the door, this hand, she's doing this. And I knew her because I had met her before, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't like buddies. We didn't hang out.
Right.
She had only been keeping the house because she had a pool in her backyard and her grandkids loved to swim in the pool. But everybody had grown out of that phase.
Yeah.
So anyway, I said to her, we got to talking. She would not put that thing down.
Yeah.
And I said to her, not me. I said, but you know,
not me. I'll deny it real quick. I don't mind you smoking.
I said, listen, one thing about today's buyers, especially in this price range, they complain to their parents all the time about, would you stop smoking? Don't smoke in the house.
Yeah.
I try to make light of it, right? And she didn't flinch. She didn't flinch. And she said, "Yeah, I think I can. I'll go out on my porch. I mean, it's like springtime, right?"
Right.
She
Right.
said,
Right.
I can do that. I can go out on my porch. I'll smoke outside. Blah 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 blah." Right. So other than
And
that,
that's when
the
you
house
said,
the
oh,
house
and then
wasn't
we have to
bad.
put the painters in. We got to clean the floor. We got to,
Yeah, yeah,
do
yeah.
the walls,
Well,
the ceiling,
I
all
said
that.
there's some things associated with trying to get the smell out. Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
I said,
absolutely.
let's come back to that. I'll have your daughter come over and the three of us, and even her husband.
For me, I want white on the ceiling. Like I want white paint. I mean, white paint on the ceiling. I want white trim on the doors. All the trim should be white or wood, depending on, what
Yeah.
comes with it. But this is kind of what we're talking about. Like you don't have to have an artist come in and, give you a mural. It's not necessary.
No.
If you've painted your kid's wall and it's a kid's room, then leave it. You don't know. That's fine. Like every room has got its value, right? So I think it's important to note that the master bedroom, the kitchen, and the living room, to me, are three really important rooms in the house.
Yes.
Like they stand out. If you have an ensuite, that's also very important to pay attention to, because brass and light fixtures, I mean, there's things you can do that are very inexpensive that can upgrade your house or make it look very old. If you have a brass chandelier that was builder grade that came with the house
80s,
25
80s,
years ago,
80s.
yeah, please go to Home Depot. For $100 you can purchase a new one and change that out. Make sure it matches all the lights in your house. If you are going to give your agent a $500 budget, and you know what, agents will appreciate that. If you say, look, I have $500 that I have set aside, can you give me the suggestions on where I should spend that, right? Then that agent's going to be like, oh, okay, now I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm gonna tell you that the brass light fixtures need to be changed.
Yeah,
Right. I mean, then you're gonna get some truth out of what the agent thinks.
so there are places, I kind of take it a step further, right? With the
Okay.
light fixtures.
Right.
Sometimes you can walk in, some pre-pandemic, I could walk into Home Depot or Lowe's,
Yeah.
right? And they would have like, um, they would have the light in, say, the kitchen. It matched the light in the hallway, though it wasn't like a oblong LED light like you see in the kitchen. But you could match them all up because it was in stock. Post pandemic, they never have any of those. And the last thing you want to do is replace something and then put up something that looks even cheaper. So there
Yeah.
are places that I can tell you where you should go, when you're not, working on the house to get it ready to sell, or on a Sunday or what Saturday, and go look and see what's available. Yes. Is it going
Right.
to be a little more expensive than the China built thing at Home Depot? Yes. However, it's a
The
really
China
nice,
built thing at Home Depot. Did
yeah,
you
the
just say
China built thing at Home
that?
Depot. Yeah, the China.
You cracked me up.
Anyway, you can go to the place, and they actually have, like, like if you're doing your room, they have like the pendant lights, like
Right.
on either side of the bed, and then they have the light that actually would match in your ensuite. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
and for like $20 more a light, you walk out the door, and when somebody comes into your house to look at your house, and they're like, wow, these are really nice. Because honestly, if you just focus on carpet and paint, and
Yeah.
that's all that your budget will allow you to focus on to get your
Right.
house on the market, besides putting your stuff away, you're 1,000% better than way you looked when I walked in the door.
100%. I mean, there's certain things that matter, and they matter like the minute that you have somebody come to your door. The one thing is the front light. I mean,
Yep.
if your front light does not
It's missing the bulb, and it doesn't have a glass in one of the panes, and
yeah,
so,
exactly. I mean,
so
you
you're still
got to
looking for
make
that
sure
squeaky toy.
that what you're doing makes sense, and that is one of those things that you're doing.
Are you looking for the squeaky toy?
I'm trying to plug in. Did you see it pop up saying so?
No, I didn't see
Yeah,
it.
it popped up saying that my battery was low, so I'm trying to plug it in.
There you go.
That's all. Yeah, busted. Caught me, John.
Power. It's funny that power
So
would be a necessary feature for technology.
it just matters, I have to have it plugged in because I did it on
Power.
the job yesterday and plug it in
You
early.
would think.
Who would
I
think?
thought I thought William was out back running a treadmill so that the lights
Yeah,
would stay on in the
keeping
house,
me
right?
going. Right, exactly. He's
Right.
down here trying to do my computer for me, but
Yep. No problem.
yeah, at 53, which is how old I am,
Yep.
and I don't care. I'm 53. At 53, I don't have the technology skills that my 20-year-old does. So thank God I have a 20-year-old. He does help so much, and he's so good to his mother.
Yep.
So amen to that.
So do we want to talk a little about pricing strategies?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to still, like, before we get into pricing, let's talk about old carpet.
Old carpet?
Let's
Now,
talk about old carpet,
you mean
right?
like the Brady Bunch shag orange carpet?
Or the stained or the carpet that's coming up and
Well,
is not even, it's got lines in it now because it's that old.
we just touched on this. The carpet and paint are the
Carpet and paint.
cheapest ways to update your house. And I don't even want to say carpet anymore. I want to use the word flooring.
Flooring, right. I mean, 90% of people will not want carpet. So if you're going to replace your flooring, LVP, hardwood, whatever you're happy with, it's your choice. You put in your house whatever you're comfortable with.
You should
But
put in your house
be
what the
careful.
buyer would be comfortable with.
Right. Be careful going with like a cheap laminate. They're going to know that's a cheap laminate. Like everybody knows that. I can walk on floor, and I'm proud of myself for this. I can walk on floor blindfolded and tell you what kind of floor that is.
Yeah.
I can click my heels and make a sound just like, what is it? Alice in Wonderland. It's Susan in the House Land. And I can click my heels or tap my toes and tell you what kind of floor that is.
So again,
it matters.
Again, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Like I will tell you, paint. I was blown away.
Right.
Pre-pandemic, we were probably. I wasn't. I mean, my clients and my handyman was probably paying 35 a gallon.
For paint.
Well, we're not going to put the cheap paint on the wall because
right.
you end up painting it 3 times, which is more expensive than just buying
just
the
doing
better
like
grade of paint.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you whether you're buying paint from Lowe's, Home Depot, Sherwin-Williams, McCormick paints. I will tell you that if you want to do it right and you want to cover it one time, McCormick or Sherwin-Williams. However, I will tell you that I had my guys paint one of my listings on the Eastern Shore in Centerville last year.
Yeah.
And this was a big area. We were doing the family room and kitchen, which were actually painted the same color. And the 5-gallon bucket, right,
was gone
for this paint. We took the empty, well, almost empty. It had been in the garage. You can't use it. By the way, if you have any paint that's in the garage and where it freezes every winter, you don't have paint.
Don't use that.
You have trash. You need to take it to the landfill and turn it in.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Sherwin-Williams.
Yeah.
He went in there, 5-gallon bucket was $137.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all.
Yeah. Yeah. When pre-pandemic, I could get that same for about $80.
So let me just say though, and when we're talking about paint, please take into consideration that if you do not know how to paint properly, if you're not a professional painter,
don't do it.
Just don't do it. Right. I mean, you're only going to
go to work.
Yeah.
Your kids' sports events.
Right. Let somebody else paint your house.
Let my guy roll in, crank it out, come home late on Sunday.
Right.
And you'll be so happy that you spent your time with your children and your spouse rather than
and not
arguing about who got that drop of paint on the wood floors.
And, I mean, something to keep in mind is a lot of you are going to be like, I don't have the money to put $5,000 into painting my house. If you've got a huge house, that's okay. We have painters that will paint your house and get paid at closing. Yep. So don't be afraid to tell us that you don't want to put the money out, because we can set that up for you Even if it's $1,000 more than you could get your handyman to do if he did it down the street, it's all going to come out of your proceeds, which are going to be much higher if your house is
Right.
freshly painted and looks really good.
Right.
So, we were talking the other day about the market and the strategies that you have to sell your house, and that does apply. I mean, when you're in a seller's market and you're able to just open your door and you've got agents that have to come in numbers to serve all the people that are going to be at your open house, that's one thing. You know what I mean? You can leave a room pink because your granddaughter liked that. That's okay. But if you've got yellow in one room, pink in another room, blue in another room, green in another room, you can't even look at your pictures and get through all the different multiple colors.
Oh.
Then, please take into consideration telling your agent, hey, I know my house should probably be more neutral. And do you have somebody that will get paid at closing?
Well,
Right? I mean, then you're in a different situation.
I think here's another thing. If you truly are in a situation where you need to sell, and
Yeah.
probably the reason you're selling is there's some type of financial burden,
Right. Sure.
then
Whatever that
then
is.
do yourself a favor. Rather than spend money on things that you really can't afford to spend the money on,
Right.
clean your house.
Make sure it's very
Clean it.
clean. Yes, absolutely. Well, that's
Spigot span and
regardless.
top job are like $3 at Walmart. Clean your
Yeah.
house, pack the stuff away. And here's another thing for people who go, well, I don't know where I'm going to put all this stuff. Well,
Get a
contact
pod.
somebody that get a pod. Get a
Get a pod.
pod, load the stuff up. Get two pods. One has furniture in it. One has those rubber containers, right? Or
Yeah.
plastic containers.
Right.
Pile it all up. They'll come pick it up. They're going to store it for you for a nominal fee somewhere local in a warehouse that's climate controlled. Then
Absolutely.
you move and you have the address and you're all moved in. Ringy, ringy. Here's my address. We'll drop it on Friday. Fantastic. You'll settle out, pay your final bill. It's worth the stress because you're choosing what you want to take,
Absolutely.
right?
And that pod can sit in your driveway too. I mean, if
It
you get
can,
it
it
early,
can, it can.
I don't care if it's there. I mean, for me, if it's
It's
empty,
not watertight. I mean,
it's
they may say it's watertight.
oh,
I don't
really?
believe it's
I've never had
watertight.
anybody say it wasn't. So that's
Okay.
good to know. I've never had a problem with them.
Never had
And
one
and
either.
one of the things that I like about them, and so that's something to note. John has run into that being a problem, but when it's right there, you're going to actually take the time to go fill it. If you're going to get the pod, you're going to fill it halfway and then say, okay, go ahead and take it. I'll get more and I'll take it to the storage unit or whatever. You won't. You know what I mean? So get it, fill it, either keep it there or take it to the storage place,
Well,
whatever you want to do.
they'll they'll allow. So when they drop it, it's not dropped like Friday, pick it up Monday like we do with
Yeah.
dumpsters.
Yeah.
It's like call us. Once it's filled, call us. We'll come get it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If you have adequate space to keep it on site, we don't
Right.
care. The problem is now we have an open house and only one car can get in the driveway because we have two pods.
It is right. It is. But I mean, it's so much better than having it in the house. So if that's the
No, no,
option,
yes, yes.
go ahead.
There's
Right?
so
Like,
many
go ahead.
options. But if you truly don't have money, honestly,
Yeah.
we'll talk about a strategy where the number should be. We're going to talk about pricing later.
Right.
We're going to get it. We're going to get it sold, and we're going to make the house clean enough that people are going to be able to see by the fact that you have old carpet. And I have an old carpet story whenever we get to stories on this issue
Yeah.
about whatever. But just clean it. Just clean it. We'll
And
work
note,
around it.
I mean, I say this probably in every podcast because I think it's so important for people to know. We don't know your financial situation. It's not, we don't care. I mean, God forgive me for saying we don't care. Certainly, we want to see everybody do well and everybody be happy and everybody, but the bottom line is, any information that you share with us is just we've heard it all. We've seen it all. We have been through it all. We're not judging you. And we know how best to handle those situations. I've personally done about 30 short sales in my life, maybe a little bit more than that. They were very common back in 10 and 11, maybe 9,
Yep.
9, 10, 11. Um, they're an option. If you are upside down and your house is going into foreclosure, call us. We can actually walk you through that. There's attorneys that do this full time. That's all they do is short sales. So don't be afraid to reach out. It's confidential information. We're still not going to know your income or anything like that. But if you're upside down and you need to get out of your house, talk to your realtor. It doesn't matter if you're in Maryland, Ohio, California, it doesn't matter, right? Like every agent out there is going to have experience in short sales if they've been in the business for 10 or more years.
Right. I think in this market currently, I think if you're probably, again, I'm not going to speak for everybody. You're probably not necessarily a short sale as you are having, some financial difficulties
or foreclosure,
and 100
pre-foreclosure,
things
right?
can run through my head. You may be suffering the fact that the bank is now, um, if you're out there and you're a consumer and the bank's sending you those hateful letters,
Yes.
please reach out to us or an agent, because they're not coming to get your house tomorrow, and you do have time to contact us, right?
And we
Or
can
people like
contact the
us,
bank.
and we have plenty of time to set a strategy
Yes,
to get a house sold. I deal with estates and probate. Sue's dealt with them too.
absolutely.
It blows me away that people who become personal representatives for
Yes.
families and friends,
Yeah.
and there's a mortgage left on the house, whatever the balance is.
What other stories do you have to share us with? What's the worst presentation you ever walked into?
Well,
Share a story.
I'll just say lots of small cats.
Okay. You had a
I
cat lady. I've had a cat lady. I've had a cat lady to the point where my eyes burned so much.
My lungs burned.
Yeah, that you got to
Yeah,
go outside because the
yeah,
ammonia in the cat urine
yeah.
is
I
so
got
bad.
bronchitis. I get that from mold too.
Isn't that funny? Like, yeah, you can definitely.
It
So
it it, it
cats,
hits right here.
it's horrible. Yeah,
Actually,
it's horrible.
even if I'm just using like Clorox wipes and I'm cleaning something and it's in a
Yeah,
confined space,
yeah,
I'll feel that little bit of burn
yeah,
in my. You know what I equate it to? If anybody has ever swam as a young person
yeah.
competitively, where you're in
Right.
the pool, you have morning practice, and then you swim all day at the pool, and then you have afternoon practice, and you get that where you go to inhale and you get that little burn down in your lung. That's
Yeah,
from
I never had that.
that's from the chlorine. It's
Yeah,
really saying to you, hey, stop breathing that.
yeah. Stop breathing that chlorine. Yeah,
That urea in the cat pee it should be considered like a carcinogen.
it really
Because
is
it
bad.
is it's like, remember how they tell you that like you pour Coke over something and then watch it just
Uh,
dissolve it.
I went in house, John, that was renovated, right? Like all new floors, new paint, new everything, and it smelled like cat. Let me just tell you guys, if you're
It
going to
won't
put
come
in new
out.
floors and you had cats, you've got to treat the subfloor. You
Yeah,
have to
you gotta
kill it,
spray it.
right? Like you're welcome. Anybody that's getting ready that had a cat, I don't care if you smell it because you're nose blind. You know that Febreze commercial where it says, "Oh, you're nose blind. You're nose blind." If you have a cat in your house, you're not going to have the same smell of that cat
Nope.
that we do.
Yeah,
So trust us. When that floor comes up, I don't even care if you don't smell it yourself. Treat your subfloor
yeah,
because people are very sensitive to cat urine
yeah,
or any other kind of animal urine, right?
yeah.
But cats especially have that ammonia or whatever.
It's ammonia.
It's ammonia in their pee,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you just can't get rid of that.
It's we're not
It's
telling you to be
nasty.
mean. We're telling you, look, kills and kills is a
Kills, kills, kills.
kills you paint on the wall. And I will tell you that it's
Right.
not the kills. It's not
We
the
should be
kills of
sponsored by
25 years ago.
Kills. KILZ.
Right.
We said we're not naming names. We're not telling you anything except Kills.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
Right.
The painter knows what to use. And
Yeah. If you're gonna have a painter do
if
it.
you use my painter, he knows what my expectation is because he's
Yeah.
probably painted 60, 70 houses over, a 10-year period of time.
Right.
And he knows what I'm looking for. Even my flooring guy knows that when they go in there and they put the flooring down,
Yeah.
like he knows that like that won't cut it. I've only had one time where it was right, but I didn't like the way it looked, and he came
Yeah.
back and fixed it. So
Yeah.
we're not here to like berate you, belittle you. We're not here to judge you. There's no judgment here.
There's no, right.
You came in and you said, I want to sell. I need to sell. What strategies do you have, or what recommendations can you make so that I can get to Tupelo by Tuesday?
Yeah. Tupelo by Tuesday. I'm using it. I like it. I like it, John. Um, yeah, I mean, I think that it's super important for people to understand that um we won't remember you maybe. I don't mean that to be rude. I don't mean it to be frank. We won't, I shouldn't say we won't remember you. We won't remember your house because we sell so many of them that chances are you've got to give us reminders. If you call me in 2 years and say, "Hey Sue, remember that house you sold me on Old Washington Road?" I'd be like, who is this? And then you say, "Oh, it's John Smith," and I'm like, John Smith, Old War. Yes. Okay. Now I'm with you, right? Like it takes us a minute.
Right.
So when you think, oh, this person's never going to forget my house, or you'd have to be so extreme to get into that box with me. You know what I mean? I have seen so much stuff that you would have to be next level. And I guarantee you, if you're worrying about it, you're not next level, right? It's that's the thought. It's kind
Yeah,
of like,
the ones that are harder to remember, the ones that I mean,
the ones that are just like, they're just okay. They're normal,
they're
right?
just
They're normal.
they're vanilla, so we don't really remember them. I mean, I hate
Right,
to say it,
right.
we always remember things that are kind of quirky or off a little bit.
We remember, right. We remember the horrible stories and we remember the stuff that make us work. If your transaction's smooth and easy, we're not going to remember that you had Cool Whip containers on your counter. Period. We're not.
Though we appreciate the fact that you made our jobs easier.
Amen.
Um, yeah,
Smells clean, looks clean. So when we're saying clean, it does include more than one sense. So feels clean, looks clean, smells clean,
right.
right? Like that's how it should be. If you have granite countertop and you put your hand on it and it's coated, you need to clean it. You know what I mean? Even if it doesn't look bad, you need to clean it. Yeah. So feel, smell, touch, really important. Nothing offensive. Everything that doesn't have legs should not be on the floor. Go home. Agreed. Look, you're going to see what we mean. It matters. It absolutely matters. The bottom of your closets matter more than you think they do. So when you open that linen closet and your comforter's on the bottom on the ground because it fits there pretty well, just put it in a bin and put the bin on the floor in there, or put it on a shelf and leave that open. You're going to visually see what we're talking about. It's going to make a big, big difference when you look at it and you go, this closet looks so much bigger without that comforter stuffed into the bottom.
Well, here's a good exercise for sellers. This is a good exercise for sellers.
Yeah.
You know where your house is located because you live there.
Right.
Go into some type of house search engine. I don't know, homes.com or an app, realtor.com or the app, whatever. What you're really doing is you're not really looking for a house. What you're doing is you're seeing, start with your neighborhood, or start with houses around you, or houses that are similar in design. Cape Cod, Rancher, split level, split foyer, colonial, whatever it is.
Right, whatever.
And then especially if you can find houses in your neighborhood that are identical in footprint, and see what they were able to do, and kind of mirror and match a little bit. Like, oh, I didn't know about that. Oh, look at the floor and the colors they use. If you ever wonder, sellers, why you look at houses that have been recently renovated and the walls look like that.
Yep.
And there's LVT on the floor.
Yeah.
That's telling you the buyer is asking for it.
Yes.
Give them what you want.
Give them what they want. Absolutely. Give them what they want. And if you don't have the money to do so, it's okay. You don't have to do it. Nope. Like you don't have to. It's going to reflect in your sales price, right. But that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, well, be honest with your realtor. Say, look, I want out of here in 2 weeks' time. And that's it. I need to go. I'm moving. My mother's sick. She's in a different state. I mean, whatever your situation is, right. be frank, be honest, be upfront, and know how your house is presenting. Just know that. Know how your house is presenting. Let me tell you.
It doesn't have to look, if you don't have the wherewithal, it doesn't have to look like the three other houses in your neighborhood.
Right.
We're just going to do a price offset. It's not
Right.
that big of a deal. And the reason it's not that big of a deal,
Yes.
since 2019, house
Yeah.
prices in our area in Central Maryland are probably almost are up somewhere between 25 and 31%. So
Absolutely.
you're making
Easy.
money even though you probably or you couldn't afford to do much. You're
Yeah.
still making more than if you would have had me come in 2018. So
Absolutely.
just chalk it up to, well,
Yeah.
because of where I am, right? Don't hate, don't belittle yourself. Here's
No.
what I'm going to do. I still moved. I still was able to take care of my mother.
Right.
And I got out of something that, it worked for me and now it doesn't. Okay.
Right. And let's talk, John. Let's talk again. I know that in other podcasts we've talked about this, but let's talk about the listing agent that you're going to hire to sell your house. What I'm gonna name 5 things. Okay, 5 things that matter the most.
Yep.
With who you hire. Right.
Go ahead, and then I'll name 5.
All right, I'll name 5 first. You name 5, and then we'll see if our 5 kind of line up. I bet they do. Experience. It matters. It matters. It matters. It matters. It matters. Realtors that are getting started. This is where you need to pay attention when you go to a listing presentation. We sellers, if you get somebody to come in and sit down with you and they have the most fancy listing presentation you've ever seen, do not trust that listing presentation. Here's why. We can buy a listing presentation pretty cheap, pretty easy, right? Like you just put in the address and it's done for you.
Straight off of AI.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about AI. Yeah. Like you might get somebody day one, never sold a house in your life, and their listing presentation is going to be 10 times better than mine or John's. I mean, it could be because they have the technical skills to fool you, right? I guess that's the best way to put it.
All right. Experience is number 1. Number 2.
Experience is number 1. Number 2 is presentation of previous sales. Very, very important. You need to say to them, can you show me your previous transactions and look at the pictures in those previous transactions? If those pictures have food on the counter, dishes in the sink, trash on the floor, you need to know why. Why, agent, did you allow this to happen? Because I guarantee you've not seen that on my listings.
Nope.
Period. Have you ever listed a house with trash on the floor?
Nope.
John? No. I would be in there myself.
Even if I had to pick it up myself.
That's what I'm saying, right? We would be in there.
We that's why we go to the photography.
We're with I'm with the photographer
too. We're moving stuff.
Absolutely.
Everybody has a kitchen sink, right? And I can describe everybody's kitchen sink.
Yeah, because it's full of all the stuff I piled in there to be out of the view of the camera.
Even if you did dishes or they're in your dishwasher. So here's what your sink looks like. The detergent, right? The sponge.
Right.
Hubby brush.
Yeah.
Right?
It's all inside.
And over here probably is some hand lotion.
Yeah.
Right? And so I go just like this. When I go to the house, I go whoosh.
I do the same thing.
All in the sink.
Yeah.
That
I do the
towel
same
that you
thing.
have hanging over the edge.
It's under the cabinet.
Right.
Yeah, we literally will walk through and do it for you because it matters to us how we present your house as well.
So why does it matter to us?
That's
why does it matter to us? Because we're going to walk into somebody's house and say, can you pull up your last listing?
Exactly.
Can you show me the photos?
Yes, exactly.
And photos matter. Let me tell you, anybody says photos don't matter, they forever.
And here's a sad truth. And I've been guilty of this. I didn't realize, and I learned a valuable lesson on this. It was fine. It was taken care of. It wasn't a big deal. But I hired a professional company to come in and take pictures of a house. And when we upload those pictures, they're uploaded at one time, right? Like you just upload the file. So there's 100 pictures uploaded from this professional company that I just paid $400, $300 to take pictures for. I upload the file into the MLS and it gets published. Well, in the little corner, there's a dead mouse or something. You know what I mean? And I didn't study each picture well enough to realize that there's a dead mouse in the corner. You know, it's pointed out to me by the person that's zooming in and pointing out the dead mouse in the corner. And I'm like, I can't believe I did that. You know, I can't believe somebody saw a dead mouse on one of my pictures. The bottom line is that those pictures are professionally taken. They're picking up every crumb, they're picking up everything. So if we can see it and we can catch it, we can remove it. It's very easy to do. But keep in mind that, you know, not only is the realtor looking at those pictures, all the buyers out there are looking at those pictures.
Right.
If they see a spec, they're zooming in and then they're saying, oh, you can do better than this. Or this is, you know, there's a dead mouse in that picture, you know. So work together with your realtor sellers. Make sure you're looking at your pictures, you're zooming in, you're trying to find anything, because it's just as easy for us to call that company back and say, look, you took a picture of a dead mouse. I need that taken out. And they'll go in there. They'll take the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll fix it. It's easy.
They're usually pretty good.
Sears.com is pulling out information. So is realtor.com. So is Zillow. So is Redfin. So is all those real estate sites that are out there. Everybody's pulling from that MLS. But every site is different in how many pictures they pull as well. So you have 100 pictures on the MLS. They're extracting 30 pictures. If you've done professional pictures, they're probably going to be in order. So the first 30 pictures are probably of the main level. Then you got 30 pictures of the upper level, and you got 30 pictures of the basement in that order. If you're not careful, that, I'm going to say realtor.com, even though I'm not specifically saying realtor.com. If they only pull 45 pictures, they're only going to show the main level and half the upper level, right? Because you got 90 pictures, 30 on each level. Yeah. They're pulling the first 45 or 30 or whatever it is. So you got to be careful to make sure that you're feeding every site the best pictures that you possibly can.
So
and nobody needs to.
The main living area is where you want to have probably your most pictures.
Kitchen,
living room, dining room, when you have
master bedroom.
The primary bedroom upstairs is probably an area where you want to have second most pictures.
Right.
Bedroom, even if the bedroom is 18 by 20, you don't need 5 pictures of the bedroom.
Not necessary.
Get a feel. I usually do a picture looking into the room and a picture looking back to the door, especially if over here is a picture that leads to the ensuite. They can see the ensuite. So when I upload the ensuite, they know it moves. The picture should move like you're traveling through the house. I see pictures where, you know, we go from the primary to the laundry room in the basement, back to the secondary bedroom, to a hall bath, that's insanity.
Right.
People like hallucinate. They can't even follow what your house looks like.
Right.
The pictures need to tell the same story your remarks tell and your data tells. That it all tell the same story.
100%. 100%. All right. So the number 4 would be smell. And then number 5, and this is super, super, super important, is don't say no to a showing. Like, you have to make your house available. You're welcome, John. You thought I was going to forget that. And I almost did forget that.
No.
It's so important, guys. I don't care if the house is really, really nicely kept and you forgot to make your bed. Okay. Just who cares? You know, you can call me. I have people call me all the time and say, Sue, should I decline this showing because, you know, I didn't make my bed this morning? And I'm like, how's the rest of the house? But I know that seller, and chances are it's only the bed that the comforter wasn't pulled up on. I don't care. Show the house. Don't say no unless you absolutely have to.
No, there are no no's. There are no no's.
There's no no. Right. You make it work if you can at all possible.
Nope. There are no no's.
Right. Just let them see it.
I lost a cash buyer.
Yeah. Just because somebody said no. Right.
I lost a cash buyer.
Yes.
Yep. Because I don't have anybody to walk my dogs.
Right? Exactly. I mean,
listen, everybody has a neighbor who can walk their dog. I guarantee
figure it out.
You live 20 minutes
Yeah.
from your house, and you
Yes.
said to your boss, I'm selling my house. Yeah. He goes, my daughter had a test today and she's not home and I have a showing. Can I please go walk my dog? Sure, go.
Right. Whatever you got to do. I mean, if
Go.
you can't, you can't, but make sure you call your agent, explain to your agent that you had to decline the showing, and then let your agent call the listing agent and say,
The seller's agent, buyer's agent.
the buyer, right, have them call the buyer's agent and explain and say, I will meet your buyer there. Like, you want to make it so that that buyer can see your house, because that might be your buyer you just said no to.
This is my
Whatever
rule.
you got to do.
This is my rule during the listing presentation. As we're sitting at the table wrapping up, remember we
Yeah.
went over the list, there are 5 things, my 6 things.
Right.
I say, okay, here's what's going to happen. You're going to get an alert. It's going to come in text and email that says there's a showing at 2:00. Right?
Yeah.
I make all of mine 1 hour notice so that if somebody needs to be notified, they're notified, right? And you're going to get that request and you're going to say yes. I know you're at home puking. You're going to say yes. And then you're going to call me and you're going to say, I'm really, really sick. And then I'm going to call the buyer's agent and see if I can move the time or move the day rather than just saying no. I was talking about your last one about canceling showings.
Yes.
I explain when we're around the table and I'm telling them, here's our list, and we're comparing lists, and I'm going to send you the painter and I'm going to send you the flooring guy. And I just
Right.
sit there and text them the contact information. And then they say, okay, I can do this. And I've got a guy who will haul and whatever. And I say, okay, you're going to get a text, you're going to get an email, you're going to get an alert. There's going to be a showing and you may be sick in bed and it's for 2:00 today. And you say yes. And you call me and I call the buyer's agent. And I said, yeah, she said yes because I told her that her fingers would look like this. If
Yeah.
she said no, but she's sick. And is there any way possible that I can find a time tomorrow or over the weekend that will accommodate your client on your schedule? And what I can do is I'll just make sure that she just leaves for the day out of the house.
Yeah.
Is there
I'm
something
the
I can
same
do?
way.
And then I negotiate that and I let it go because once you lose one, so I had a listing in Hyattsville in the Arts District,
Right.
and it's hopping there,
Big money.
right?
Big money.
Hopping.
Yeah.
Get a showing from an agent. She's a Arlington agent, Bethesda agent, right?
Right.
Remax, right?
Yeah.
And she calls me up. She goes, I got an out of town client. We really got to see the house today. They leave Sunday morning and they want to buy a
Yeah.
house. They're coming in Friday. She has an afternoon showing Friday, or it was early Saturday. Coming in
Right.
Friday, want to see our house early Saturday, and they fly out early Sunday morning, right?
Yeah.
And I'm monitoring the showings, and they're coming in bang, 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 bang,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I see a decline. And I'm
Yes.
like, what? I said, I know we
Exactly.
had the conversation. So I call her up and I'm like, what's the decline?
Yeah.
Well, I have to go somewhere. My son's in the hospital. I said, I get that.
Yeah.
I said, why are you declining? You're not going to be home anyway. Well, I don't have anybody to deal with the dogs.
Right.
I said, can't you just put them in the yard?
I mean, there's sellers. So sellers, this is where, the agent is going to take your listing. I would too, but you're making it so hard for them to sell your house that,
Handcuffs.
I mean, it's the harder you are on your agent, and then you're going to hold it against them. You know what I mean? Like, you got to remember that this podcast is for you. This podcast is also for your realtor to be able to have somebody other than themselves tell you that that's not nice. You know what I mean? Like, you're just making it harder. So we understand that you have situations. My dogs are like my children, John. Like, they are my babies, right? Like, you saw me have to get up and move a squeaky toy because that child of mine wants to have a squeaky toy.
I get that, but
right.
If I had children, right?
Yeah.
They're like your children. If I had children,
yeah,
and I had a showing at 2:00,
you
you better bet your ass, please, that I would find a way to go be a parent
I
and
know.
deal with that issue with my
hear you.
children. Even if I took them to my office and set them with a coloring book.
Yeah, I will go
I'm
get
getting
your
that
kids
showing.
and your dogs, right? Like,
I'm
we
getting
will
that
get your
showing.
dogs. Right. I mean, I'm with you. I think it's super important for people to understand. We know how important your animals are to you, but saying no to a showing is like saying no to a buyer that is going to buy your house. I mean, it
Hey,
trust us.
sellers.
It only takes one person to buy your house
Right.
that you might have just said no to. So think before you say no.
Hey, sellers, let me let you in on a secret, right?
Yeah.
So restricted showings,
Yes.
right? High prices, say unmotivated, hard to deal with seller. Because
Yeah, that's true.
in speed dating, you don't sit down at the table while you're swapping dates and say, well, I'm very stubborn in my ways and I'm very rigid about my stuff. And would you like to go on a date? And they're already gone.
They're already gone.
They're
Yep.
gone.
That's so
They're
funny. So,
gone.
John, tell the truth. Did you speed date? Did
No,
you go on
but
speed
selling a
dating?
house is like speed dating.
Yeah, I think you did it. Did you
No,
do it?
I've never even been on a relationship site.
Oh,
Please.
I'm just saying.
It is speed dating. It is. The only reason it's speed
Is
dating.
speed dating even a thing? Seriously? I know it
No, it
wasn't
was
like,
back in the day. Don't you remember that show?
it was on a
That
show. That's all it
It was a
was,
show,
right?
right? Right.
I don't
But
think people actually
there are
did it.
people in social circles that are very busy, and that's why they hate dating, right?
Yeah, but
That's
they
why
go
they
meet for
use like
lunch or something. They
Match.com.
don't like
I got
literally
friends.
speed date.
I got friends who are married from Match.com. I'm like,
Oh,
whatever.
me too. Me too. I know.
Okay,
I know. Me too. I know
encyclopedia.
people. Yeah.
But houses, you have one opportunity to make an impression,
Right.
hence the speed. The market dictates that things move quick, hence
That's the dating. Right. I
that's the
got you.
speed. The dating is you wouldn't come like you look like you just got out of a homeless shelter
To your
with
speed
black
date.
teeth from your meth smoking
Right.
and expect to get Christy Brinkley, right?
Exactly.
You're not getting
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. You're
You're
not
getting
getting
another hobo.
it. That's funny. Yeah. Okay. So let's go to your 5. Ready? Number 1, 5 most important things for sellers.
I think experience is
Okay.
important.
So you're agreeing with my experience.
I think your agent must be able to convey to you some type of plan of action, and it's not on a sheet of
Fair.
paper, because the sheet of paper is something that you may have said, okay, these are the things that I might suggest in
Right.
marketing, but they're not the overall marketing.
Right.
I have to be able to convey them to them a plan that they can understand, that's real to their situation. It
Absolutely.
has actionable marks in it.
Open
It
houses,
can be
like
measured. It
presentation,
can be
online
measured.
pictures.
That
Right.
includes everything. So
Okay.
I'm going to go from condition to and condition to contractors to clean out to the photographer, what happens to the photographer, to down to installing a lockbox, putting a sign in the yard, all those actual. And then I'm going to tell them the things that I do that are unique,
Mm-hmm.
that garner attention. Because if I'm holding your hand and we're speed dating your property, I'm speed dating for my next listing. And
Yeah.
it's important that I get my
It
next
matters.
listing, because how I treated my last client is an indication of how I may treat my next client.
Absolutely.
And so it has to be, you have to lay it out. It has to be actionable and measurable, right?
Okay.
And you have to be able to be held accountable for it,
From
right?
that specific agent, because keep in mind, sellers, that the presentation itself, anybody can show you, like all the information, all the pretty pictures, and I'm not saying the pretty pictures that
The flow
are in the
charts,
presentation, the charts, the all that stuff. Like, be careful. Don't be fooled by that. You need the meat, right? Those are the potatoes. So when you sit down with an agent and they literally, like these brokers out there, our broker offers us a not a CMA, a listing presentation that we
yeah,
can go in, and it's beautiful. I
it's
mean,
beautiful. You can customize it. You can
we
do
customize it.
resumes in there, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, I use it. I use parts of it for sure. And then so the presentation itself, you just can't be fooled by that. Like, you got to know the meat, right? So the
Right.
meat is what that agent's saying to you, not just what they're showing you. All right. So experience, plan of action. Number 3.
Well, marketing is number 2. I think
Oh, marketing's number 2.
is number 3 is us explaining the value of condition,
Okay. Condition.
right? Right.
Yeah.
And what that should look like, right?
Yes.
And then I think 4 is just like letting them understand that though they're performing certain things to the success of their sale, I'm also doing certain things that I feel that are normal in what we should be doing as listing agents, but I've been told time and again, time and again, time and again, nobody ever brought that up to me when they talked to me about selling my house.
Okay.
And then the important thing is, and lastly, I would agree with you. Don't you ever cancel a showing, because there are ways to
Don't say
get a
no.
showing to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a listing recently. It closed,
Yeah.
and I knew that they were doing cleanouts. We were in an active but of still available, and I had an agent
Oh,
who
yeah.
wanted to show it, and I declined. And then I called the agent and said I was the one to decline. I said, honestly, she's well behind. She's a week behind in cleaning out the house.
Yeah.
But if you'd still like to see it on Monday when she's not there, I can make that happen. And I
Yeah.
certainly, if you go back in and change it to Monday, I'll approve it. I will tell you though, we're very close. We're very close on this transaction.
Here, let me tell you of a situation that happened last night. Okay. I have a very active buyer that's between like 700 and a million. All right. So that's her price range. And we went last night. I drove an hour and a half to show 2 houses, right? The first house we got in, no problem. But it wasn't the community she wanted. She wants this one community. She's got her eyes set on this one community. So the next house that we were supposed to see, we were scheduled to see, I get a call from the agent or text from the agent about 10 minutes before I'm supposed to show the property. And she says, painters are still finishing up. Please come back another day. Now, we would have not seen the first house that day. I wouldn't have driven 3 hours last night to go show this house. I would have waited till today when we could see them both, right? But that's not the case. So this agent went ahead, and the truth is, I've been doing it long enough. She didn't get the lockbox on. She's going to blame the painter. She's going to do whatever. I drive by the house. There's no painters there, obviously. Now we're looking outside because remember that whole coming soon thing? This is, again, an example of that. The patio to the neighbor's house lines up directly to, like, not even a foot between the two, to the end of the fence. So there's no space between property A and property B. She hates that. Now this house is listed at $1 million, 999,990. All right, $999,990.
I'll throw them the dime.
Yeah, right.
Dime.
No, $10. It's $10 under $1 million. Here you go. Okay, here's $10. Here's your $1 million. And she said no to us. All she had to do was get a lockbox on the house. Now, when we went there and we looked outside, and this is again going back to my whole coming soon thing, but that's a different podcast. When we looked outside, she's like, I don't want to live that close to the neighbor. And so all of a sudden we are nitpicking the exterior of the property because it's all we could see.
Well, first of all, you're already annoyed. You're already annoyed.
Now, right, we're completely beside ourselves.
That's not the buyer anyway.
Is she going to go back to the open house on Saturday? Probably not. So, just agents beware when you say no to somebody after you've already scheduled them. Be super sorry because you just messed up somebody's entire evening or day or whatever.
You don't send a text message.
Yeah, right. A text message
unless
10 minutes before you're supposed to be there.
First of all, she knew when you scheduled. Now she may have been monitoring it.
No, she told me. So the house was supposed to be active yesterday. And there may be some truth to the fact that the painters went in, but she was in a different city. And she said, I should be there by 6 to get the lockbox on because we tried to go at 5:30. And I said, no problem. We'll go to the other one first. No problem. Right. And now it's not up to her to know I drove an hour and a half to show this house. But the fact of the matter is, she doesn't know I didn't either. Right. So there you go.
Well, here's the deal. Here's the deal.
Right.
What do you think the seller would say? See, if sellers
Right.
were
The
a little more
seller's never
active.
even going to know that unless the seller ends up listening to this podcast. But we're not talking addresses, so it doesn't
No,
matter.
no.
But right.
But the thing is so the thing is, it's terrible service. Look,
It's a
we
missed
we
experience.
have loyalty and obligation to clients, right?
Absolutely.
In real estate, we have honesty and fairness. An
Yes.
acronym HARD, right? Honesty, accountability,
I was like, wait a minute.
responsibility, disclosure. I just took the class. So
Okay.
listen,
All right. So you got that in your head.
we have an honesty and fairness to each other as well,
100%.
right?
100%.
And so as whether you're a listing agent or buyer's agent or both,
Yes.
actively combative
Right.
with your fellow professional real estate agent.
Right.
That word professional is up for anybody's interpretation.
Right.
But, don't be angry and lead with vinegar and kerosene and lighter fluid.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
if look, Sue, I said yes to your showing. I don't know if the painters are going to be done. I've been calling them all day.
Yep.
And no, I haven't put a lockbox on the door. So you know how I saw that, and so she should have apologized. But you know how I saw the lockbox? Here's how I saw the lockbox.
Yep.
I said to the seller, I got about 15 in my car. They're combo boxes. I'm probably not going to use a combo box when we go live. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to put it on your rear hose bib.
Yeah.
And I'd like you to, in your travels this week, I'd like you to go buy an Ace Hardware and get me keys, not Home Depot, because those keys never work. So what I want you to do is wherever you go, right?
Yeah, just give me keys that work. Check them.
Give me a set of keys.
Yep.
The code for the lockbox is X, Y, Z, and L, right? Yep. Whatever that number is or letters are.
Yeah.
I want you to test them first.
Yes.
And then I want you to put them in a lockbox. Only you and me know the code.
100%. Right? Now, so here's something else.
They're in there, right?
Yeah.
So that when I go with a photographer and I've now got a central lockbox, because I'm going to switch over, I don't have to have the owner meet me there at 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
While they're working, I just go behind the house while he's taking pictures. I go take off the combo. I go install the central lock, open it up, put the keys in it, close it up. We leave. I shut the door. Pictures come. Post is in the ground. I hang the panel. We're live. If an agent comes to your house who cannot describe all of those actionable actions, right, that you can measure.
Well, we can tell you there was a code to the garage. So easily she could have said to the seller, can we have the garage code? Because I didn't get the lockbox on yet. So we're not done. We see the garage combo. Now, as a seller, if you're like, I'm not giving out my personal combo to the garage, there is a way for you to call the company if you don't know how to do it and say, look, I need a temporary code for my garage. They will give you a temporary code. You can put it in your garage door, and that you can then call back and say, I don't want that code to work anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine. There's things you can do. No is never an answer, right? No is just never an answer.
I wish sellers, and I don't want to get off on central lock, but
right.
They're ridiculous. I wish sellers would install on their front door the little push button.
Yeah, absolutely. I have one on mine.
Right. And
they make it easy.
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
The Stanley, Kwikset, whoever makes it.
Right.
They'll allow you to have one maiden code for your family.
Yep.
Or you and your wife or spouse or partner, right?
Right.
And then you can have a code, same thing on the garage door. You can have a code for each child.
Yes, absolutely.
And you'll get an alert to the thing called a cell phone, right? And it'll tell you.
You sound like our president. Yeah, and your kid that just came home from high school, their boyfriend just came in with their code. And guess what? You just got alerted. So, I mean, those things are kind of smart, know.
But you can also assign one to the lady who comes by, or guy. I shouldn't say lady.
Yeah.
But the company who comes by and cleans your house every month or every 2
weeks. Right.
And
exactly.
then one, guess what? You can assign to us
The same
And
thing.
we can use the code, and we don't need a lockbox.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's all a matter. You don't have to do that to sell your house. We're just saying if you do it, then we can walk you through that process. And we know we've been there so many times. We've done it so many times. It's nothing new. It's a tire, right? You don't want to reinvent the tire. There's no way. People have tried it. You can't have a square tire. You can't have a triangle tire. This circular tire is what is used. It makes no sense to try to change that. And we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. That's the bottom line. We just know how the wheel works.
Yeah.
So when you're selling your house, listen to this podcast, listen to your agents, listen to everybody that sold their house before you. It's an easy process if you do the work. If you do everything that we're telling you to do, you're going to have a successful transaction. That's what this podcast is about. We're bored right now, right? The market is slow. We're able to do this. Not bored, but we have more time than we ever did. That's nobody's hiding that. Nobody's like lying, saying, oh, we're so busy. This is not about that, agents. It's not about that, realtors. We're in the same boat you're in. Yeah. We're doing everything that we can to make this as nice and easy and simple as possible, and to bridge the gap between buyers, sellers, lenders, realtors, title officers, whoever. Right. Reach out to us. If you have questions, if you need advice, we're not attorneys. We keep saying that. We're not going to give you legal advice, but we'll certainly tell you how we would have handled a situation. Sure. John will tell you a different view than I might tell you, right? Like we definitely disagree. And we respect the fact that we disagree, because then I learn from him and he learns from me.
Perspective. It's
perspective.
All about perspective. And it's like trying to have a conversation with or it's futile to argue with people about their opinions.
Yeah.
Just accept it and move on. It could look different than yours. Doesn't mean that they're bad or good.
Right.
People have different opinions.
Right. And I am so happy for somebody to call John and say, John, come list my house, because, I don't agree with Sue. I agree with you. Amen to that, right? Like, amen to that.
It'll be the other way.
Because the next one's going to be me, right? Yeah. We're not competing against each other. And there's such a market. I think that maybe should be our next topic of conversation, John. What do you think?
We're contemplating, we're thinking of a bunch of things to bring to you guys. I mean, real estate perspective. We'd like to bring on real estate agents to give their perspective, because they have different ideas and concepts too. We want to know experiences. We definitely like to bring you people in the trade. We've done lenders and home inspectors. Right.
Contractors, you're welcome to join us.
I could see us having, down the road, an electrician to come in and talk about the electric panel. Yeah. I could see somebody coming in and talking about.
So we've really loaded people up today, which is great. That's what we want to do. Please, 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 if you're listening to this, if you've made it this far, comment. We want to hear your comments. We want to hear your thoughts. Yep. We look forward to the next one. The next one's going to be on, John, you call it. What is it going to be about? What do you want to talk about?
I think we talked about this before we went on. I think we're going to add some vendor and some information, and we're gonna surprise you with what we're going to talk about. It could be anything. I mean, we've done a home inspection. We haven't had an appraiser on before, but that's something that we're going to do. I don't know that we're going to do it next week, but Sue and I are going to talk about it, and I think we're going to probably do a small clip. It's going to announce what next sessions are going to be about.
Absolutely,
and I'm super excited to do that. We'll roll it out for you, and we'll have.
I'm with you 100% on the appraiser. Yeah, let's do an appraiser.
Appraisers, listen.
Let's do an appraiser.
Listen, Sue and I could go in behind each other.
Absolutely.
And price a house and have two different ideas about where you should start to value.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother conversation. Well, I'll save my opinion.
Okay.
When we bring the appraiser.
Let's
let
do
everybody go. We're going to let
everybody go. Yeah, we'll probably kill the appraiser.
Well,
but
maybe.
We'll be nice to him. We'll be nice. We'll be nice to the appraiser.
Let's wrap it up, and we'll go from there.
All right, John. Look, thank you everyone for joining us today. We appreciate it. Please leave your comments. Share. If you enjoyed this, if you got anything out of it, share it. We want to grow with you. We want to grow for you.
Yes.
Together we're going to be stronger. So we'll talk soon, John. I appreciate it again. And
Signing off.
appraiser, we're going to do that. I'll talk to you privately in a little while. Take care. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.